Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation with Citra, and Citra just got a brand new update. So Citra Nightly 2030 eliminates the last of the need for hardware geometry shaders. It offers a slight performance increase, especially on hardware where it's unsupported. As of Nightly 2031, it allows for native motion support for DualShock 4 and DualSense controllers, and it also works for the Nintendo Pro controller. And this release also includes the massive Android UI overhaul, where UI stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or user interface depending on how you want to interpret that, basically a brand new look and feel. It's got a complete rework of Citra Android UI with many new features, a new 3-tab layout, a new card look for each game, a new setup flow, a brand new GPU driver manager, new system files page to download the home menu system files and boot the home menu, a new blue app theme, as well as stability and performance improvements, and even more. Now, all of that is just part 1, and although part 2 hasn't released just yet, we've got a sneak peek as to what's to come here. Update design of each existing layout, a new reset to default button. In the settings and debug menu, we've got exposed new 3DS mode toggle and exposed CPU clock speed slider. You can expose the volume slider in settings and audio, and the internal resolution can now be increased to 10 times if you dare, and there's even more. So to pick up the latest and greatest version of Citra, head to citra-emu.org and click on download. Once you're here, click on manual download, and then pick up the latest nightly build for your platform of choice. And speaking about Citra, next up we're still talking about Citra and Pretendo. For those who may not be aware, Pretendo is a free and open source replacement for 3DS and Wii U servers. And now Pretendo's Miiverse replacement, Juxtaposition, is now working on Citra. Now it's worth pointing out that working does not mean complete. There's still quite a bit of work to do. They're saying here they're 39% of the way there. If you are curious about this and you wanted to learn more, I'll drop a link to Pretendo's website in the description below and feel free to check it out. And speaking about checking stuff out, next up here I've got a handful of things for you to check out. The first one is video game Esoterica's video on the new FPGA N64 core. We've talked about this one a bunch in previous videos and it just keeps getting better. There's been an update here that improves Animal Crossing, Beetle Adventure Racing, Body Harvest, and more. Go on ahead and check out that video. Nintendo had their Indie World Showcase. It's a 22-minute video and it does have timestamps to make things a lot easier to get through. There are 2 games here that I'm very excited about. The first one is Shantae Advance Risky Revolution. This was an unfinished game unreleased, and now it's been finished. The best part about this game is that it's not being released just for the Switch. It's also heading to the PS4, PS5, and PC. If you're on Xbox though, you're out of luck at least for the time being. And the second game I'm interested in is called Blade Chimera, and this one is a timed Switch exclusive. Thanks, Nintendo. It will be hitting PC at some point after it releases in 2024. And speaking about indie games on PC, next up we're talking about Little Goody 2 Shoes, or rather giving away a copy of it. I'm giving away 1 Steam key to this indie game for 1 lucky person. To enter is simple and straightforward. Send an email to giveaway@mrsujano.com with the correct answer to this question. What is the name of the replacement to Miiverse that is currently working with Pretendo and Citra? We talked about it in this video. That's literally it. I'll choose a random winner in a couple of weeks. Next up, we're talking about the Steam Deck and SteamOS. And SteamOS version 3.5.2 preview has just been released. It adds support for the very newly announced Steam Deck OLED. And on top of that, if you're one of the arguably lucky people to already have a Steam Deck, and you're one of the very lucky people to move from one Steam Deck to the brand new Steam Deck OLED, and you're using EmuDeck, EmuDeck's got you covered. They have an import and export tool to transfer your games, BIOS, and saved games from one deck to another. I'll drop a link to their site in the description below. And on a quick side note here, EmuDeck is not limited to just the Steam Deck. It's available for a whole bunch of different platforms, and people use it on devices like the Asus ROG Ally. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about the iPhone, and I'm starting to like what the EU is doing here. I mean, first and foremost, USB-C is on the brand new iPhone thanks to the EU. And it appears that thanks to the EU again, sideloading is going to be available on iOS 17 in 2024. Apparently here, and no surprise, Apple has claimed that sideloading will undermine the privacy and security protections that iPhone users rely on. However, I would argue that it would interfere with revenue. I mean, they're 15 to 30% fees on apps. I'll drop a link to the article in the description below, and although I don't have an iPhone, I do hope that this change is broader than just the EU. I mean, it's only good for iPhone users, at least in my opinion. It frees up the system a little bit. Moving on, and we're talking about Blender. For those who may not be aware, Blender is a free and open source 3D creation suite, and Blender 4.0 just released. They say here that Blender 4.0 is the first step towards a new iteration of Blender, and we've got a bunch of new features. A new snap base for improved placement and transform workflows, and a type to search and various UI improvements, including a new default font. Again, Blender's 100% free. It's available on Steam, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. Moving on, and we're talking about a very weird ROM hack for Street Fighter II for the NES. It's called the Realism Edition, and it's by Billy Time Games. I'll drop a link to this one as well in the description below. It is super interesting. I mean, special moves are disabled. Performing them will cause you to recoil, giving your opponent a chance at a free hit and potentially dizzying yourself. Round time has been reduced to 60 seconds, and players' health bars have been reduced to 1/3 health. And the life bars are gone, so 2 heavy attacks will be enough to possibly end a match. Again, feel free to check this one out. And last up here, we're quickly talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on PC, specifically Windows, with Ryujinx. And there's a very interesting mod here for Red Dead Redemption that allows the mouse to be used to aim. This mod does require Cheat Engine in order to work, and all of the information can be found over on GameBanana. I'll drop a link to it in the description below, and feel free to check it out. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.